This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
Dad is dead. There is a dog.
You bought strawberries. Who do you think you are?
You buy homemade bread?
What are you, QAnon?
What makes him happy?
Not being in this movie?
Not being in this movie.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and other places as well, and try to make sense of them. I'm Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
And so you noticed in our opening, I said Lifetime, Hallmark, and other places, because today we are actually branching out a little bit and we are talking about a movie on Netflix.
Ooh, Stranger Things?
Yes, we're talking about Stranger Things.
You know what?
We're talking about Dahmer.
I watched Stranger Things for the first time over the summer when I was on the road in Cincinnati, because these guys who I split a condo with when I was doing my show in Cincinnati were like totally into Stranger Things. So I actually watched it. And that's one of those shows where I'm like, why have I not been watching this show? So I watched the last season. So now I got to go back and catch up and watch all the other ones.
Okay. I've avoided the last season, even though I heard it was great, because I had missed like a season and a half before that.
Yeah, that was one show, because I was splitting this condo with these guys, and so when I came home, it was already on, so I basically had no choice.
I liked it. I rewatched the seasons, and then I watched the current season, or the season of 2022. So I enjoy it. Except the show used to be, it was half kind of like a Goonies thing, and that was half a horror, and now it's all horror.
Because I was just like, oh, angsty teenagers. This is right up my alley. These are all the shows I watch. But what I was talking about, though, is Netflix has gotten into the Christmas movie game along with Hallmark and Lifetime. And so
a lot of networks are doing this now.
I know.
And we're not talking just because it's a Christmas movie, it's Hallmark, but Hallmark does a very specific kind of holiday movie that is a romantic kind of comedy, but it's just like warm and fuzzies all around, and that's really all the movie needs to be. And so then Lifetime started doing that specific genre of Christmas. Now Netflix is doing it. We know Up TV, because we watched something from that with Vivica a couple of years ago. Everyone's getting into this game.
Yeah.
And I love, though,
this was a Hallmark movie.
Yeah. No, this
basically was. Well, this was, except I love how Netflix is like, but we're gonna like take it up a notch.
Yeah. Well, so
I like how Netflix promotes Netflix during the movie. She turns on Netflix like halfway through the movie.
Well, so I actually know one of the executive producers on this movie, and she used to do a bunch of Hallmark movies. Her name's Amanda Phillips. You'll see her in the credits. And that Netflix movie that Lindsay stumbled upon in the movie is another Netflix movie that Amanda produced. That was an inside joke.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
So it's very meta.
Yeah.
It kind of was.
Yeah, this was a Hallmark movie with a budget, like a big budget.
Yeah, they had some music that you usually don't hear in a Hallmark movie. Whenever we do, we're surprised.
Some really cool camera work. It was on the screen, and they were kind of flaunting it out of the gate because it's set at this really high-end resort. So you see all these, like, there's like a Lamborghini and all these really expensive cars pulling up.
And there was snow, like real snow.
And a lot of it,
It looked like it, yeah. It looked like it was actually snowing.
They're all, screw you, Hallmark. We got money. We're going to take your format and out-Hallmark you.
They had Jack Wagner, who played Frisco Jones on the soap opera General Hospital, and who had that song, All I Need Is Just a Little More Time. I remember when that song was a hit.
Yeah. You know what kept that song from never ever making it to number one was Madonna's Like a Virgin.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's funny. Yes, the character of Frisco Jones is missing because he's now undercover for the WSB.
Oh.
the World Service Bureau. It's like the FBI, but in Port Charles.
Did you see who else produced this movie?
Wait.
Another soap person.
Because I saw who
also had a hit single in the 80s. Who also had a hit single in the 80s. Yep.
Let me see. Well, Jack Wagner has not been in a lot of movies according to his filmography. So this is like only 4.
Who else?
It was Michael Damian produced the movie.
Oh my God, Danny Romalotti. Yes, I did notice that.
Michael Damian.
I wasn't sure. Actually, Michael Damian, who this week is going back to Young and the Restless.
Oh,
he played the love. Wait, he played the love interest of Joe. What was her name?
Polnicek.
In The Facts of Life. Yeah, Polacek. But they'll still spell it right. Oh, maybe they do. I think I do. I just don't know how to read it. Yeah, in 3 episodes.
But that's funny that you mentioned that, Jason, because I was wondering if that was Michael Damian.
I looked it up because I was like, I wonder if it's the same one, and I did some digging, and it is him.
Yes, well, Danny Romalotti is back in Genoa City for the holidays.
Wow.
He has a song called Rock On. I don't remember that.
It was a remake of a 60s song. It was a top 10 hit.
Okay. So I remember when I first moved to LA, I worked at Brookstone in the Beverly Center, and Michael Damian was the first celebrity I saw when I moved to LA.
Did you sell him a massage chair?
No, because he sat in the massage chair and was like, "It hurts my back." But he was very nice, though. He was very nice.
What did you do? You worked because I got distracted because I just saw that Michael Damian's father-in-law was James Best, who played Roscoe in the Dukes of Hazzard.
Are you serious? Roscoe P.
I went on a distracting rabbit hole of my own.
His father-in-law was Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Yeah. But what were you talking about? I know our audience already heard you say.
So sorry, audience. Well, you're used to us by now. But okay. I was saying, when I first moved to LA, my very first job was I got a job at Brookstone in the Beverly Center, which at the time, the Beverly Center was the shit. The Beverly Center was like the center of everything. So Michael Damian was like a customer, and so he tried out one of the massaging chairs, but he said he hurt his back. It hurt his back. But he's very nice, though.
Okay. I promise I'll pay attention. I will not get distracted.
And then after that, I helped Robin Givens and her very, very handsome boyfriend, who turned out to be an unknown Brad Pitt.
Oh, really? Wow. Was this back when Brad was in the El Pollo Loco commercial?
Was that before? Was he in an El Pollo Loco commercial?
It was I think it was El Pollo Loco. I think he was dressed in a chicken costume.
I think he was on the street doing that. That's a story I heard.
Oh, maybe it was that then.
Yeah, I don't think he was actually in a commercial.
But well, that's interesting. I remember thinking, this guy is hot.
So how do you remember? How do you remember that if you didn't know who he was at the time?
If you see Brad Pitt in person, you will remember Brad Pitt.
Really? Because I've heard Brad Pitt, like before he was famous, he kind of made the rounds around Hollywood. You know what I mean?
And he was like Robin Givens was the celebrity at the time, not him.
Well, remember he was paired up with Juliette Lewis, and Juliette Lewis was like coming off of Cape Fear, I guess. And so she was the star. He was like the +1 at the time.
And he's like, "Look at me now."
Mm-hmm. Take a look at me now. That's what when I looked up All I Need. Yeah. Like these are the songs that show up. It's Into the Night. That shows up. Too Young. That's another song by Jack Wagner. Forever by Kenny Loggins. The Greatest American Hero theme. These are like the other.
Believe it or not.
Missing You by John Waite. These all like live in the world of All I Need.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
But anyway, the movie we're talking about is Falling for Christmas, starring Miss Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. And Chord Overstreet, who you might remember from Glee. And he's on the show Acapulco on Apple TV Plus.
Yes.
And Jack Wagner.
And Jack Wagner. Yes.
Oh.
And and Linda, I have opinions.
Oh, yeah, I love a comeback.
I have opinions. Which is, first of all, it's like, oh, Lindsay looks like she's like my age.
I thought she kind of was. How old is she? Because she almost looks. She doesn't look much younger than Jack Wagner.
I think she's probably about 40.
40.
Let's see. Well. So, listeners, I am 56, and she looks like my contemporary.
It was 40. Jesse Eisenberg. I didn't know he was that old. I've lost track of time. He's almost 40.
So I'm Googling her now.
Oh, yeah.
How old is Lindsay Lohan? Okay, guess how old she is.
Maybe she's like 36.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I did guess that.
So she's gonna hate all of them.
Well, she's lived life. I mean,
It's amazing how many of the cast members from Mean Girls are all being associated with these kinds of movies now. Because you've got, of course, Lacey. Right. You've got Jonathan Bennett, who's like Hallmark's like new gay superstar, and you've got Lindsay now doing this kind of movie.
Right.
Because she signed a multi-picture deal with Netflix for these, so we're going to be seeing Lindsay holiday movies every year.
But by the way, Jason,
yeah.
Did you ever think you'd see the day when you would say Hallmark's gay star?
Well, what's amazing about it is they have two very prominent male stars on that network who are openly gay. Because you've got him and you've got Luke McFarlane.
Right.
Even though Luke's always straight in the Hallmark movies, he's still openly gay.
I was reading about the upcoming movies, and there's a movie that I want to see. And remember the movie with Fran Drescher last year where she's trying to set her son up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one like that on Hallmark this year, but it's Jonathan Bennett and Kathy Najimy is the mom.
Oh, we should watch that one.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Oh, from Sister Act?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Bennett, he's that guy from the Fringe Festivals, right? He's the one who worked with you on a show?
John.
Is that right?
Not Australian John Bennett.
Oh, it's a different John Bennett. Okay.
Don't worry, audience. I don't get the reference either.
But I once met Kathy Najimy at a party, too. It was like back in the 90s. And so I knew this guy who was a psychic, and he used to have these parties all the time. And I met Kathy Najimy with her husband, who was very cute with red hair. And that is where I met the one, the only Miss Eve Jan Brady Plum.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Eve Plum.
Yeah.
I've talked before about how I have respect for Eve Plum. I like her work ethic.
Well, because she's like, out of all of them, she's like, screw this. I'm an actress. And did actress.
She carved out her own niche. That's
Yeah.
right. She was in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker back in 1988. But she acts, man. She's in stuff.
She's like,
It's not just. Yeah.
Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway, where she was Emmy nominated. But anyway.
She's mainstream. What do you call it? Yeah. She's like, what's the phrase? Mainstream adjacent. You know, there's like Grease Live or whatever, and it's like a mainstream thing, and she's just kind of in there playing a little role. She showed up to audition. She said, I'm in. Right.
And then, Hallmark has kind of been in the news lately because a former Hallmark star, is getting the shit kicked out of her, and she deserves it. Candace Cameron Bure, traditional marriage. Ha.
I'm not even angry about it because we know that she's ultra Christian. That's part of the reason why she jumped ship. So it's like, if she wants to say that, that's fine. We already knew that about her. She's not revealing herself to be a more hateful person than she was yesterday.
I'm enjoying the dragging though that she's getting from other actors.
Oh, for sure. But I also feel like the more the conversation lingers on about it, the more it actually brings attention to her movies and like people might watch them. Whereas if this hadn't been a big uproar, nobody would be talking about this.
Right.
Nobody would care about her
even
movies.
On?
Yeah, it's so basically it was this like little sub channel called Great American Country, and they rebranded as a GAC Family, and the old head of Hallmark, who got ousted, is now running it and basically bringing over old talent and trying to make it this very like white Christian, you know, like what our perception of Hallmark was is what he's actually trying to do here.
Right. And who's dragging? Oh, I know who's dragging her. I
Hillary
forget
Burton.
her name.
Hillary Burton from One Tree Hill.
Yes, she is just dragging the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Well, there's that meme, the straightest Christmas ever. You know, it's like a mock-up poster, and I thought it was a real movie because I didn't get a good look at it.
Yeah, that was I messaged you. Oh, Kurt.
But I own it.
What was the one thing you asked in the thread and Les just said, "Oh, Kurt"? There was something else that you occurred him for, and it was like it was a big thing in pop culture that we referenced in our chat thread, and it would almost be like not realizing that Mariah Carey sings a Christmas song. It was like that level of like huge pop culture moment that you were oblivious to in the moment.
I know pop culture stuff. You must have me mistaken with someone else. But I did. Oh wait, here it is. Oh, I did know this. I'm scrolling back. I said Kirk Cameron's sister, and you said, "Oh, Kurt." I knew. I was just pointing it out. I know it's Kirk Cameron's sister. But I was really embarrassed because when I saw that, I thought that was a real movie, The Straightest Christmas Ever. I was going to try to delete it. I was even going to say to you, Les, don't tell Jason about this. I won't. What am I going to do? Red. Because I was really embarrassed. It's a picture of like this Cameron woman like ripping up a gay flag, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a real movie on Hallmark. I was like, I didn't get a good look at it.
Right. That's funny. Well, anyway, I guess before we get started, do we have any Black China news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Black China Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Well, this is from the U.S. Sun. This is actually from a couple weeks ago, but we hadn't covered this story yet. It's a Black China's off the hook in battery investigation after being accused of kicking woman in the stomach in a bar brawl.
Oh my God!
No, we didn't. Okay, good. So anyway, the investigation began just days after the former reality star, whose real name is Angela White, lost her court battle with ex-Rob Kardashian's family in May of this year. The alleged victim, Blac Chyna's former friend Sequoia King, previously claimed the women got into a verbal dispute that turned physical at a bar in Los Angeles. She told media outlets the former E-star believed she was being recorded by people on their cell phones. I remember some of this.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I heard the kicked in the stomach part. Again, it's a Blac Chyna story, and it gets more violent every time we tell it.
Yeah, right. This. Okay, so when she she thought to be recorded by people on the cell phones when she allegedly attacked her, which King denied. After months spent looking into the complaint, what time well spent, the LAPD's media relations office told the U.S. Sun, by the way, this is taxpayers' money, guys. You live in L.A. The LAPD's media relations office told the U.S. Sun this week, the case is no longer being investigated by detectives. King had alleged China, 34, took her cell phone out of her hand and slammed it to the ground during the drunken argument, causing damage to the device. In an interview with Daily Mail, King claimed she told the star, "You're being a really nasty person to me right now, and that's why." Then she said, "And that's why you did not win your lawsuit," referencing her case with the Kardashians, throwing shade. When she heard that,
that's even more violent than getting kicked in the stomach.
Oh, wait. When she heard that, she charged towards me. She kicks me right in my stomach. I stumbled back. I got knocked down, King alleged. According to the police report, the alleged incident happened about 5:45 a.m. on Friday, May 6th on Avila Street in L.A., so you can go visit that actual location. King told the Mail Online she was left feeling sore after the alleged attack, and an x-ray at the local hospital showed she had internal bruising. The U.S. Sun has reached out to China's team and King for comment, but did not hear back during their wild night out. King also claimed Rob's ex blocked the entrance to the bathroom at the bar they were drinking and demanded money from revelers. there was a line behind us. She opened up the door and she was like, if you want to use the bathroom, you got to pay $50. So $5. I got a lawsuit going on. Give me your Cash App.
I like the idea of like Black China is at this bar and she's showing them the QR code so they can send her money on Venmo.
Right.
It's not her establishment. She has to rent the floor and then charge people to go to the bathroom.
Wait.
Hey, in Europe they do that.
Wait.
You have to pay money to go to the bathroom.
That's true.
I just poked a giant hole in some one of the reports that we've heard about Black China. Either this part about her saying I have my Cash App is untrue, or the account where she doesn't have a bank account is untrue. One of those two is definitely untrue.
Oh,
Well,
so you
need a bank account to have a Venmo.
Right. Well, remember she said that in court, though, that she didn't have a bank account.
Right.
She was under oath.
So first of all, I'm sure this woman said more than you're not being very nice.
Yeah.
Well, she said that's why you didn't win your lawsuit.
See?
That set her off.
Well, see, you don't say something like that unless I don't condone fighting, but those are fighting words.
Yeah, you don't mess around with Black China.
Especially, exactly. It's like, do you know who you're talking to? You're talking to Black China. She allegedly beat someone with a rod or a metal stick or a metal pole or
some kind of pole, yeah. Whatever it was, it hurt.
That's funny. Well, okay, it is funny, but not funny, but funny.
Well,
when you actually really sit and think
cry.
about the actual violence, it's not funny. But just in concept, it's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm still laughing at the fact that the lady's like, you're not being very nice. And it's like, you didn't say that.
I just picture a really heated argument. One of the people just going, "You're really mean to me."
That's why you didn't win your case. Pow! In the stomach. Damn. Doesn't take criticism well. Don't bring up that case.
And the story about the bathroom just makes me love Black China even more.
Charging people in the bathroom. That's a fun one. I have another celebrity net worth that stumped me.
Okay.
You want this one?
Yes.
All right, see how you do with this. All right, what's the net worth? Hey, you're not allowed to look this up, Jason.
I was taking notes from the last thing we just talked about.
Okay, don't cheat. All right, so what about Sean Lennon and Julian Lennon?
Oh, I'd say over 60 mil.
There's separate numbers now. Which
Sean versus Julian. I bet you Sean has considerably more because he probably inherited part of his dad's estate. Yes. Or probably a larger share than Julian because Julian was more grown up. I'm going to say Sean is probably worth about 70 million and Julian is probably worth about 3.
Yes, and I agree. I agree with Jason because I think at some point Julian and John Lennon they were kind of estranged, right?
I think so.
So I will say Sean Lennon is worth 100 million and Julian, is around 3 million.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you right now, you guys are way off.
Okay.
And I'm surprised that at least Jason wasn't aware because there was a lawsuit. There was a lawsuit going on for a while involving Julian because he was kind of stiffed, but he had to sue to get some of the estate. Well, anyway, here it is. Sean Lennon, 200 million. Julian is 50 million.
Wow.
Oh, good for Julian.
Sean has a lot more money than Julian does.
Well,
a lot more.
Because Sean and Yoko, they inherited. I believe that's what the story. There is a story about this. What's going on?
Oh, I'm just saying it went way over both of your heads that Sean got a lot more money. Lot is Julian's like big hit song. It's called Lot.
I thought it was and it's much too late. I think the album was Velat.
Well, they both. Velat was the first single, and Much Too Late for Goodbye was the second one. But Velat was a bigger song.
Wow. Okay, I didn't get it, but I was surprised that Julian has so much money. And the thing was, he was in the news recently because he ran into Paul McCartney in an airport lounge, and I thought that's good that Julian can afford to be in an exclusive airport lounge. How much is he worth? So, $50 million.
That's funny. Well, hey, 50. Like, good for him.
He should have some cash. Yeah, I believe a lot of the money was left to Yoko and Sean. I don't know how much Yoko is worth. Should I look that up?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look. All right.
I remember once at Rage, back in the day, Yoko Ono was at Rage in the DJ booth.
Woo! What do you hear what Yoko is worth? Hey, Yoko, if you're out there, I'm single.
I'm gonna say 400.
Okay, what were you saying, Les?
500 million.
700. She's 700 million.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because those Beatles got a ton of money when they sold their catalog, and they signed some sort of blockbuster deal when they signed away the streaming rights. So yeah, that makes sense.
I take it back. I'm not Yoko. I'm not available. I'm afraid if I get involved with Yoko, she might break up this podcast group. So,
well, right.
Kapow!
Right. What happened to the podcast? Yoko showed up.
Yoko broke up our podcast group.
Yoko did it.
Yoko Ono should do a reality show, Yoko Ono should host a reality show where she just goes and like splits people up, like splits up companies, splits up couples, like. It could be called like Breaking Up with Yoko Ono, and she's the one that facilitates the breakup.
I would watch that.
That's awesome.
I'm going to go pitch it to Fremantle now.
No, but what she should be doing is getting people back together. Like, reverse, she should
Don't Tom and Jerry this. Don't make this like the later seasons of Tom and Jerry where they all were nice and getting along, and there was no more of them beating the crap out of each other, which was funny. You can't have Yoko bringing people together. That's what the Beatles should have done. They have a song called Come Together.
She's got to get Fleetwood Mac back together. Got to get Bert and Lonnie back together.
I don't think it's possible to get Bert and Lonnie back together.
We need miracles.
Like was she like Ghostbusters, getting Bert and Lonnie back together?
Let's get her on the podcast. What are the chances she come on this? We have to tell her it's something else, though. We got to fool her. Tell her this is...
No, I think we straight up tell her what it is. Because I think maybe just like the sense of playfulness would be like, yeah, it's more fun to go on a podcast nobody's ever heard of than it is to go like on one that everyone knows.
And then we could sweeten the pot. But we could say, Yoko, you can sing one of your songs.
Oh, yeah?
Because like her songs, it's always like her screaming.
Yeah.
She listens to this episode. That's where she's not gonna.
There's a great story
I'm gonna contact her.
There's a great story from the early days of SNL where they did a bit on. It was like season 1 or 2 of SNL, and they did a bit where it was like I think maybe Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi like pleading to the camera that like, hey, we want to get the Beatles back together here on Saturday Night Live, so we will present them this check for $700 if they read. And apparently, like John and Paul happened to be in New York together at the time, and like we're seriously considering going down to the studio and accepting the check.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
That would have been like iconic.
Yeah. But it did not happen.
Legendary.
But I could see Yoko being like, I am going to go on that podcast.
Well, Yoko, you are welcome anytime, Yoko Ono.
And she will insist on a Lifetime movie.
Right.
Oh,
of course.
You can watch the movie with us and,
she will probably like
whatever she wants.
She'd want to watch a wrong movie.
I want to live in a world where we find out that Yoko Ono is a Vivica A. Fox superfan.
Right?
She might be.
I would love that.
Yeah.
What's Yoko up to? I want to know what she's up to.
Yoko Ono, you are welcome on this podcast at any time. Anytime. We'll work around your schedule and everything.
And we know she didn't break up the Beatles, so it wasn't her fault.
And, well, Yoko, you can come on here and you can give us your side of the story.
Yeah, she has to get her side of the story up. Gosh, she's had an interesting life. Avant-garde. Yeah, no, I'm all for this. I'll contact her. There are ways of contacting people.
Okay. Well,
we know where she lives.
where?
I believe she still lives in the Dakota where John Lennon was shot.
Isn't that TV show Only Murders in the Building based on the Dakota?
I think it kind of is, yeah. But I know that the building they're in that show is fictional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a real building, obviously, but it's I forget what they call it on the show, but it's not the real. I know it I don't think it's the Dakota either that they're actually in.
Anyway, well,
I shouldn't be saying where she lives. Well, it's common knowledge where she lives. I mean, that's
Right.
where she's lived for 100 years.
Well, Yoko, anytime.
So now our list of people that are must gets for our show include Black China, Vivica Fox, Jack Gay, and now Yoko Ono, and Eric Roberts,
and that woman who played that bit part in the Jack Kay pilot, who went on to be in adult movies. We were also interested in having her on the show.
Yes,
we should do
so
a
if we can
spin-off podcast with the park ranger.
Oh,
yes.
Find her.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yoko Ono. We got the park ranger for this week. And next week is the woman who had a bit part on the Jack Hay show. But don't worry, in a couple weeks, we'll get you on.
That's not possible. This trail's been closed for 8 years. It's extremely dangerous.
Imagine 90 minutes of in-depth talk with her.
Let's do a mix of that. Let's take those words and put them to one of like Yoko's songs. I can do like a mashup.
Right. Right. Let's do it.
Oh man.
Well, shall we start?
Well, I guess we have a show to do.
You sound defeated, Les. I'm taking it you didn't like this movie.
Actually, this movie was like a roller coaster ride for me.
Same.
I got emotional.
I did too.
Did you really?
I did, and the thing is, as soon as I start, I realize I have to be transparent. I have to tell the guys about this.
I cried,
which kind of ruins my emotional moment. But yeah, there was an emotional moment that I had. You cried?
Oh.
Did you cry?
Oh.
I did.
Did you cry? I didn't.
Wow, dead inside, Les.
I was just happy though that I was judgy McJudgerson about something, and I turned out to be right.
Oh, so can you talk about why that is?
Shall we? Do you want to start talking about it and get into it, or shall we just reveal?
Should we? Because it's kind of a twist at the end.
Oh, that you want to? Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's what his problem is. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that as we get to that in the movie then. But Falling for Christmas on Netflix, the #1 movie on Netflix in the world right now.
Is it?
Yeah. So this is like just this movie alone probably will have a larger audience than most of the movies that we normally talk about.
Oh, yes. We've got a buddy who's in that Dahmer show, and he's been touting it as the #1. That he's in the #1 show, and he can't say it anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, they split their movies from their shows. This is the #1 movie on Netflix right now.
Well,
okay.
So we see snow, a lot of snow. We see the mountains, and we see fabulousness, and we see Lamborghinis, and we see expensive hotels, and we see rich people everywhere. And then we see Lindsay, and she is very rich. So unlike our regular Hallmark heroines, she's not very busy, but she's very rich, which is kind of like being very busy.
And again, just as I mentioned in the up top of how you see the money on the screen in this movie, a lot of times with the Hallmark movies and Lifetime too, when a character is supposed to be super rich, but the movie doesn't have a big budget, it's real obvious that that person isn't actually wearing Louboutin as much as they are Ross Dress for Less. This one, like, you saw it on the screen.
Yes. And P.S., in the beginning, like her different little outfits, I loved her outfits.
Yeah, a lot of montages in this movie, Les.
Yes, and they were good ones. They were good ones.
Those products, I believe, were on loan. If you notice the end credits, they all got special thanks.
Yeah,
they were either on loan or they were.
Oh, they got.
They were given to them because they knew it was going to be promotion. So
yeah, but I definitely
on loan.
But like the outfits, like I do like the fact that they were definitely like over the top in a good way. So we see Lindsay. She's sleeping with you, and you know she's rich because she has a sleep mask on. Mm-hmm. And so she wakes up, and then she has a team of employees there to meet her every whim. And then, you know, her team is like, you know, can I get you breakfast? Can I get you blah, 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 blah. And she was kind of bitchy, but I didn't think she was totally bitchy. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I think they were trying to portray her as like, oh, she's got a lot of money, so she's kind of oblivious to other people's humanity, but she's not a complete monster either. They wanted to show that, like, she could be bitch if pushed in the right direction, but she's not quite there.
Right.
She
wasn't mean.
Yeah.
So then we see this guy in a limo, and it's Frisco Jones from General Hospital, Jack Wagner. And he's very, you know, he's very rich too. Oh, and then we find out that her father, who was Beauregard Belmont,
yep.
and the hotel was called the Belmont, that we found out that he gave her a job in the hotel, but she doesn't want to be the job. She doesn't want the job.
It's a BS job, though.
Pardon?
It's a BS job. It's not a real job.
Yeah, it's the vice president of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And just they said that he's a big hotel magnate, so they're trying to paint it like she's almost a Paris Hilton.
Right. And so she's like, you know what? I don't want this BS title. I want to make my own mark. I want to do my own thing. And so then her boyfriend shows up, Tad, and her boyfriend. Okay, my first thought when Tad showed up was he's gay.
I didn't think that until a little bit later, a little into the movie.
Yeah, and
you'll see.
There is a kind of, especially in comedy, a character that's playing kind of high class, or at least coming from money, that there is a fine line in the prissiness of that versus the prissiness that comes with being a gay man often. And so, I didn't think that throughout the movie. No.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a different kind of character. It's like just because the guy's got his hair in the right place and we're wearing a certain outfit, he's more of like a rich sort of, you know, privileged guy.
Well, his job, so my thinking of this though too, was his job was that he was an influencer.
Yeah.
And so my thought was he's gay and he's dating her for hits.
Well, he also could be rich. Like, well, do influencers actually make money? Like,
yeah,
I guess. Oh, I think we've talked about this. Yeah.
If you actually are good at it and have a actual following, yes.
I mean, I think it's a finite sort of a thing. Like you definitely have like as an influencer, I think you definitely have like your 15 minutes and then.
Yeah.
I just figured he was rich and that's kind of like his job, but his job doesn't necessarily he doesn't have to make a living per se.
Yeah, we didn't really find out like if he had gotten his money because he was an influencer or if it was family money. Like, we didn't find out how he could afford that lifestyle.
So then we see this other guy who's skiing, and we could tell that he's our hero of the movie, and he actually has a meeting with Jack Wagner, Mr. Belmont, because he has a ski lodge that he wants Mr. Belmont to buy.
Well, they didn't have. He basically runs into him on the mountain while they're both in skis and approaches Jack Wagner. And he's like, hey, can I have a meeting? And Jack Wagner basically says, beat me down the mountain and we'll see. And so then there's like a ski race montage.
Right.
Yeah. It was like that Roger Moore For Your Eyes Only.
It really was.
Remind me of that.
And that's right. He gets to the bottom and he's like, you know, Jack, I'd like you to invest in my lodge. And Jack actually he likes him. He doesn't dislike the guy. Like he's actually going to give him a shot, sort of. And so then we see, then Lindsay, otherwise Lindsay, but her name was Sierra. She was wearing this outfit, and what was the name of the designer? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I don't know any designers.
She was wearing this fabulous jumpsuit, and it was by this designer that she kept on saying the designer's name.
Sergio Valente.
And so then our hero bumps into Lindsay and spills coffee all over her boyfriend. I mean, all over her outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend, and I wrote
cocoa.
here, pardon?
It was hot cocoa, and he like a little cream got on her. That was basically it.
But it was like a couture outfit. And so
I guess it's a problem, yeah.
So the boyfriend Tad freaked out more than she did, and I wrote, this guy is kind of suspect, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So then later, Lindsay and Tad are going to have dinner with Jack Wagner. Then we cut to our hero named Jake. We find out his name is Jake. And then, of course, we find out that Jake has a little daughter. And then they start talking, and we find out that Jake also has a dead wife.
I see dead people.
And so the daughter was, the Hallmark little girl, precocious, and she was basically being raised by Jake and his mother-in-law, her grandmother. So then we find out that the lodge is in trouble. And the little girl says they need a Christmas miracle. And then we cut to the office, and he has a Christmas ornament in a drawer, and we all know who that belongs to. The dead wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big doll. And he shoves it in a drawer.
Yeah. And so they're talking, da 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 da. And then we cut to Lindsay talking to her dad, and her dad's like, okay, you need to basically, you need to decide about this job. I want you doing something, and I'm going out of town, but I will be back on Christmas Eve.
Well, we also find out that Lindsay's mom is dead.
I see dead people.
So it was double dead.
Yeah.
Double dead people.
And there's this like snow globe that they're sort of talking about dead mom that they bond over, which will come in handy later in the movie.
So basically, they're like, we're going to out Hallmark, so we're going to have not one dead mother, we're going to have two.
I see dead people.
Just to make sure.
Mothers really get thrown under the bus in this movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Possibly, literally.
We don't know how they died. That may have been how they died. Grandmothers is, she's held in high esteem, but mothers, no.
We also don't ever find out where Jake's dad was. I mean, Jake's parents at all. There's no mention of them.
Not at all.
No.
So then we cut to Lindsay, and like I said, I loved her little outfits in this movie because she was like looking at outfits. Again, that's basically all she did, was like she looked at outfits. And so Tad, her boyfriend, who's the influencer, wanted to go and have like a Christmas photo shoot with her.
And he rolls up to the hotel and literally is like gunning to run over the workers there. Then there's a moment where he like runs over one of the guy's toes. And I had a problem with this because I think if it were a Hallmark movie, they try and make the bad guy not so bad that they're just a monster. Like this guy was a monster and a dumb one. And you wonder, why was Lindsay, even the monstrous version of her character, why was she with him? Because he was such an asshole.
And well, then remember, he was an asshole to her, too.
Yeah. You just wonder, like, what... I feel like this is a case of you don't have quite the constraints of making a Hallmark movie, so we can make these characters a little rougher, but I think they overdid it with this character.
Right. And then, they're driving to their photo shoot. and she's singing Jingle Bell Rock, which is her favorite song, her favorite Christmas song, and he's telling her that she's picked. Yeah, where she's like, "This is my favorite song."
Is that song that I said I didn't like a couple episodes back?
Jingle Bell Rock.
Yeah,
Jingle Bell.
I was telling it to somebody.
You don't like Jingle Bell Rock?
This is the only podcast I'm on. No, what was it I didn't like about that song? I think it because I got shamed in a Cub Scout meeting because I never heard the song before.
Oh, you did bring that up on the podcast.
Yeah. They said, "Oh, Kurt," because I didn't know what Jingle Bell Rock was.
We needed to start a merch store and have shirts that just say, "Oh, Kurt."
I know we should actually. Oh, Kurt.
Get your "Oh, Kurt" merch now before the holidays.
Oh,
what a piece of that. But then they start playing the Air Supply song. I'm all out of love, so lost without you.
And she gets sad, so you can tell that she doesn't love this guy. Because she gets really sad. And then we cut to Jake, and he's like in his janky ski lodge, and he's going to give this couple a tour on a sleigh, on this janky sleigh. That was like falling apart. Like the guy in the couple was like, something just fell off of the sleigh. Meanwhile, we then cut back to Tad and Lindsay, and they're driving on a snowmobile.
I wrote that we see a harrowing snowmobile ride montage.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to a Christmas market where the grandma and the little girl, Abby, are in the Christmas market, and they're talking to this old man who is he's a Santa Claus, and we think he really is Santa, and he's kind of eyeing up the grandmother.
Did you recognize him, Les? We met him.
Who?
We met him at the event we went to for Meredith. We talked to him.
Oh my God, that's
he told us
right.
he was going to be in this.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, we met Santa.
That's right.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, this is the movie he was talking about.
Because not much. I thought something more substantial was going to happen with his character, but
I like the way that he was eyeing up the grandmother. He was like looking at her, checking her out.
I don't think he was checking out Grandma. Although when Abby puts her like wishing ornament on the tree, he does this thing to basically like signal to the audience watching this movie, "Oh, I'm granting her wish right now in this moment." So he like tapped the side of his prosthetic nose, and it was either like he was making her wish come true, or he's telling one of the PAs that I want some cocaine right now.
Right. And that's so funny because now that I realize who it is, they did a good job because the guy I didn't think he was that old.
But he definitely looked like a guy that you would call upon to play Santa.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So they're in. So Sierra, Lindsay, and Tad are on top of the mountain, and he proposes.
There was a danger sign too. They drove by a sign. As soon as they drove by it, the snow fell off, and it said, "Danger! Don't be in this area." Whatever.
Yeah.
So we knew trouble awaited them.
But they were rich, so they were like, rules don't apply to us.
They didn't say it.
So then he gives her wedding ring, and he's a fuck up because the wedding ring was way too big. And
way too big, meaning like it was sized wrong. Not even if the rock was big, though it was.
Right. Yeah, it was sized wrong. And she was like, it's too big. And so
he should have gone. I guess it would have been weird. Like he could have snuck one of her rings out and, brought that. Then he'd have the size. But then she would have caught him, maybe.
Right.
I got caught one time. I was going to buy this woman like some lingerie. So she came in. She saw me looking in her panties to see what the size is. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And so
you're supposed to wait until she leaves the house to do that.
Okay.
Kurt.
It's like it just now occurred to you, Kurt. Like, I hadn't thought of that.
hurts.
I don't know why I
Wait
bother.
till she goes to buy groceries, and that's when you go and look at the underwear.
Why do I bother? I provide this transparency and this is like it.
So anyway, they're on the top of the snowy mountain, and Lindsay trips and falls over, and Tad falls over too.
How'd she live? She looked like she was falling.
Yeah.
If like, it's not only did she live, didn't have a scrape on her, like didn't have like any kind of crutches or anything, which is weird because I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm not ruining anything. When she's in the hospital after this, they mentioned that they had to cut off her ski outfit.
Right.
So like, if it was so bad that they had to cut you out of your clothes.
Right.
Well, they probably wanted to see what size she was. They could buy her some lingerie.
Right. Like not one broken bone, and she hit her head on a tree.
Well, that's how she got amnesia. It wasn't falling from like 7 stories off the Alps. It was then she's rolling down the hill, which looked like it looked like that was manageable. Like she wasn't sliding down a sheet of ice. I think she could have stopped herself, but then she bonks her head on a tree, and that's what she gets what they call amnesia.
But she literally does like roll though. It wasn't like a delicate. It wasn't a delicate falling down.
In both her and Tad's case, they played up the absurdity of the fall so that, you know, we could keep this movie light instead of dealing with the reality that like that was a very fucking dangerous thing that just happened.
Right. Both of them died because then he like got sucked down to the earth. I thought he was going down to the depths of hell or something.
And didn't she fall on her face before she hit the tree?
Maybe.
I think she did.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, again, jumping ahead, but like not too long after all this goes down and she ends up meeting Jake, they go skiing together.
Yeah.
Like, even though she doesn't have a memory of anything, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's skiing is something to stay away from.
And then, because then because now that you think about it, she didn't have like not a scratch, not a nothing.
Not even a mention of like, oh, I'm kind of sore today because of falling down a mountain.
Right.
Because when rich people fall down a mountain, they don't get a scrape.
And P.S. she fell all the way down the mountain.
Yeah, mountains are.
She fell all the way down to the bottom. So then we see Jake, and he's on the sleigh ride with the couple. And so Lindsay was wearing like a hot pink ski suit. Mm-hmm. So he's driving by in the sleigh and he sees like a hot pink blob in the snow.
That's flattering.
So he goes, he calls an ambulance or the ski patrol or whoever you call. She's in the hospital and we find out she has amnesia, which is right up my alley.
Yeah, they kind of play. I don't think they wanted to do the research to find out the real ins and outs. Maybe it's that's a sensitive topic, amnesia, because they're like, well, I think somebody mentions amnesia, and they're like, well, if you want to call it that. No.
Yeah, they actually said, I believe the words were kind of. I think somebody actually did do the research and was like, this is not actually what happens when you get amnesia. So they needed to kind of cover their tracks and say like, it's kind of what you assume amnesia to be.
See, I watch a lot of Days of Our Lives, and there's a lot of amnesia on Days of Our Lives.
Okay.
I'm an amnesia expert.
Before Jake brings her to the hospital, I love the fact that the couple that he was carrying around in the sleigh, A, don't get up to help him with the body, but B, were both like, is she dead?
Right. And not only was
it was
that,
so dark.
They looked kind of grossed out too, like, ew, is she dead?
And the look he said when the woman says, "Is it a dead body?" The look that Jake shoots her was legit hilarious. It was kind of like, "Are you kidding me here, really?"
So she wakes up in the hospital. She can't remember her name. The sheriff shows up. The nurses are all there, and then so then she has no. So, but they're like they're like, well, we kind of want her to go stay somewhere else, but you can stay here if you want.
Yeah.
Like they weren't like, oh no, you can't leave. It literally was like, well, you can go.
Well, she can leave whenever she wants.
But then, like, she saw the food, and like the food was gross, and so the nurse was like, "Well, you can go if you want, but And then she's like, "But you can stay." But then kind of hints and looks at the food and gives the food a look like, "This is what you're gonna be stuck with if you stay. So you might as well go."
Well, then the hospital didn't want her there because she was a pain in the ass already.
Right.
And like, so get out. Like, do you know how much money it's going to cost to be in the hospital, like overnight? Just like leave, I'll just stick around the hospital.
So then Jake invites her to come to his house. And so even though she has amnesia, she's still kind of snotty. Wait, did you guys ever see that movie Overboard?
I know the plot of it, but I've actually never seen it.
With Goldie Hawn.
They did a remake of it.
Mm-hmm. With Anna Faris.
Where they reversed the genders, I think, in it.
We don't talk about the remake.
No, we only go back to remake. Overboard, where it's Goldie Hawn, she falls off a boat. Yeah, she's rich, she falls off the boat, then she hooks up with Kurt Russell.
Well, you don't need amnesia to hook up with Kurt Russell.
Right.
Just saying. He's still hot, I think.
My biggest problem with this movie is the conceit that she is this very rich hotel heiress who's seemingly somewhat famous because she's with this influencer guy. Why does nobody recognize her? Especially,
and this was my issue with it, because he spilled coffee on her earlier in the movie.
In the same day the movie takes place, or that scene takes place.
And because it wasn't like a chance. It wasn't like a chance meeting. He spilled cocoa on her, and there was an incident.
Yeah, there was like a whole interaction, and then later in the day, he finds her unconscious body in hot pink, and somehow doesn't recognize her.
Right.
Well, if I may be the advocate of Satan, as far as recognizing, how many people are really going to recognize her? Because she's with an influencer. Like the little girls.
Well, no, I'm not saying that they'll recognize her because she's with an influencer. I'm saying she probably is fairly well known in her own right, the same way like a Paris Hilton is.
Right. Right. She's like a famous socialite, and especially if the guy was an influencer. That there was probably. Oh wait!
Well, they did say something about they didn't go public with their relationship, but that doesn't mean that she's not well known.
No, and I do agree. Like, she's probably like a Paris Hilton or something. Like, you'd know who she, or like a Kardashian even. And
in fact, Jake, it's established right out of the gate that Jake knows who her dad is. Jake recognized him on the slopes and chased him down. How is it that Jake, who totally knows what the dad looks like, hasn't at some point read more about this hotel magnate's family?
Right. And like I said earlier, too, they had an interaction. They had a conversation. So he had met her and talked to her
that same day.
Yeah. That is strange.
So
it's one of those things we have to accept.
I guess.
Or we'll never be able to enjoy the movie.
So she goes home with Jake. Meanwhile, Tad wakes up, and he's like in the middle of nowhere as well. And so he starts filming, but then his phone dies. So then they go into, Sierra and Jake go to the ski lodge, and we used to have clocks like that the clocks that they had, we had a clock like that when I was a little kid.
I didn't see a clock.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a clock either.
They were like the German clock.
Oh, like a cuckoo clock.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Except
we got one
ours,
of those here.
And so we had one exactly like that, but ours went ding 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 ding.
I want that as a ringtone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and so then They grab her some clothes from the lost and found that were ugly.
Oh, I liked her pajamas. Well, the ones they handed her were ugly. The pajamas she had on, though, were very cute.
So then this next part, you can't. I agree with her on this because she hears like scratching on her window, and she opens up the window, and a raccoon's like trying to get into her room, and she's like, "Oh my god, I would have flipped out too."
Yeah, she falls back. It was like a Home Alone style pratfall, and she falls backwards over this recliner, and then like she falls so many times after her accident, and the accident is never mentioned.
Right.
Well, this is like a sequel to Unbreakable, or was there a sequel to Unbreakable? Well, this is it.
Yes, there was a sequel to Unbreakable, but this is not it.
Okay.
So then we see Tad. And he's running he's going through the snow, and he finds a shed.
I love this.
And he finds an old man named Ralph in the shed.
Yeah, it's
and
one of those like ice fishing cabins with the hole in the ice where you can like sit inside but be there fishing. It's one of those.
No, that's a place I've never been to.
And I guess Ralph lives there full time.
No, he doesn't. I don't think. Maybe he does. No, because Ralph has to go somewhere. When I saw that, when I saw Tad and Ralph meet, I thought, I hope there's more to this, because I really like this relationship between Tad and Ralph. In fact, I thought Ralph was kind of like what you guys call a bear. I thought maybe Tad is in bears.
He kind of was.
I think they were when I thought they were a viable couple.
Well, they hinted at it, kind of.
Right. And Ralph was a bear.
There's one point, like jumping ahead a little bit, but where they're like out, trying to make it into town or whatever, and they're sitting there eating, and it's this like sweet moment, and you see that Tad is sort of looking up to Ralph in a way of like, oh, he can do all these things that I can't.
Right.
Yeah. He completes him.
Right. So then we see Lindsay sleeping, and then this was funny because she's sleeping and then she's awakened to the the Netflix noise.
Yeah.
and they promoted another Netflix movie, which was funny. So then she meets little Abby, the little girl, and she's talking to Abby, and she asks Abby to help her pick a name. And so Abby had a little doll named Sarah, so that was the name she picked for herself. And then they talked more about their dead mothers.
I see dead people.
She tells her, she says something's weird. The little girl says, I do something weird. She says, what is it? She says, I sometimes talk to the picture. And Lohan says, that's not weird, but it is kind of fucked up.
So then this next part...
That's the holiday movies on streaming, because you just have adults cursing in front of the kids.
Yeah.
So then they kind of order her around. Like, he's like, well, why don't you go cook?
Well, she volunteered to cook. He was going to make her breakfast, and she's like, no, I know how to make my own breakfast, and then goes and doesn't know how to make it. So why would she insist on that?
She's doing terrible. She just throws the eggs in with the shells. It's like, come on.
Oh, so then back at the hotel, her glam team goes into her room. She's not there. And her personal assistant and her glam team, they go into her room. She's not there, but there was a note from Tad saying, well, come away with me. So they just assumed that she was away on a trip. So then we see Tad and Ralph, and they're bonding.
Oh, Ralph let Tad sleep in. Now they've got a hike for days. How will they pass the time?
Right.
Oh, and then he tells Tad, because Ralph says, I'll catch some fish. Tad doesn't eat fish, but he throws an axe at Tad. He grabs it. He says he can go catch himself a squirrel.
Good.
And that's where I wrote, I love Tad and Ralph.
and Tad is kind of because Tad's very, very, very prissy. But then he kind of starts to mellow out as well.
You know, that's the thing. I didn't really like Tad. I'm like, oh, I don't like this character. As soon as you put him with Ralph, he was softened.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like that's when Tad became likable.
Yeah, he starts to mellow out.
Ralph humanized him.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I ever write my memoir, this is gonna be a big chapter in it. When Tad was humanized.
When Tad was humanized. So
That'll be the name of it.
When Tad was humanized. So back at the lodge,
I think it should have had more overt. I think it should have had more overt Netflix promotion in this movie. Like they could have been like a. Let's watch it. Let's watch the season 1 of Lilyhammer before we try to save the inn.
Right. Or they could have had like a Love Is Blind couple show up at the lodge.
Let's watch that season of
That Yoko Ono is there
without Kevin Spacey.
Yoko Ono would then show up to break that couple up.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you could have like Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey from Love Is Blind show up. Oh, so then we find out that they have no money at this lodge and people are canceling and they are so broke they can't even afford a maid. So what do?
I'd stay there. It looks nice.
Which I think is mean. They make Lindsay the maid. But then they make her the maid, but then they get kind of huffy when she doesn't know how to do anything.
Yeah, it was there was a comical can't figure out how to do chores montage.
Yeah, what can't she do? I wrote this down somewhere.
No, she can't do anything. She can't make a bed. She can't
make a bed. Yeah, I would think you could kind of figure that one out.
Well, not if you've never made one.
Well, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about with the playing up the comedy because in a unnecessary way. Like, I believe that very, very rich people, even if they've never made a bed, they could probably figure it out in about 3 seconds.
You guys have probably met. Have you ever met someone who was like super rich? I mean, like rich.
Yes.
I met a guy by accident one time. I was at a party, and this guy was like, "I collect books," and I found out he was producing a Broadway show. No, he was paying for a Broadway show.
I stayed at a rich person's house once, and I needed to do, like, I spilled something on like a sweater, and I was sleeping over there. Mm-hmm. And so he didn't know how to work a washing machine.
Yeah, I believe not knowing how to work a washing machine is believable. But there were some things in that montage I'm like, you can figure out how to not get the cleaning brush stuck in the toilet.
I don't even understand what was happening there.
And I also don't understand how that caused water to shoot out of the toilet the way that it
maybe
did.
Maybe
right?
I'm super rich because I didn't understand what was going on.
That water did that was a little much because the water, like the toilet basically exploded.
Frankly, if the toilet brush caused that damage, that was not Lindsay Lohan's fault.
Right.
That is some faulty plumbing.
That was trouble. Something like that starts happening.
But it was a cute little montage.
It was.
So then we see Ralph and Tad, and they're walking through the woods, and they're bonding even more.
Love it. Ralph puts cross country skis on Tad so that he can and Tad. I wrote Tad's. Oh, I know. Ralph. So Ralph puts cross country skis on Tad, and Tad says, "Well, what are you going to do?" And Ralph goes, "Oh, don't worry about me. I have really big feet." And Tad is like aroused by the fact that Ralph has big feet.
There's a big penis joke in this movie, basically,
right. And Tad loves it.
Yeah.
He wants to suck on his toes.
So then we have the obligatory.
Kind of exciting.
We have the obligatory bond with the little girl scene. The little girl is, I guess, she has a tangle in her hair, and Lindsay goes and helps her untangle her hair. And by helping her, she remembered her mom helping her with it. So her memories are starting to come back.
And the girl that they used in the Lindsay flashback looked just like young Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
Just like her.
I just saw the Parent Trap was just on recently.
I love that movie.
I didn't really watch it though. I just
I
saw a
ever
little
saw
bit
the
of it. She was a
Lindsay
little
version.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this next part, I think it was mean on their part because she is doing laundry. She starts the washing machine and walks away, and it starts shaking. But she had never done laundry before, so how can you expect her to know
was an
how to do
accident.
laundry?
She accidentally dropped the jug in there, and then it started going wacky.
But this part I felt bad for her because she didn't know, and so
When Jake gets upset about it, and so Lindsay has to go outside and talk to the horse Balthazar.
yeah.
She talks to a horse.
Yeah.
This is weird. People are talking to horses, pictures. Odd communication. And she could ask, if you don't know how the washing machine works, you can ask,
Or
how does this work?
I was gonna say Google, but she didn't have a phone. Okay.
But also, it was like one of these things where she was doing it, and you could tell that she meant well.
Yeah, I agree.
Like she was doing it to be nice.
Yeah.
So then she's carrying wood, and then she falls over again.
Down like stone stairs. Again, no mention of the fact that she just had a harrowing accident.
Right.
I'm telling you, this is the sequel to Unbreakable.
And then she's getting upset too because she's like, I've been here for 2 days and no one has looked for me. And,
Well,
and
that's what you guys said.
Yeah.
she's like, how come no one's looking for me? So
People are wrapped up in their own thing.
yeah, because they thought that she was away.
Can we also talk about the very poor sheriff's department in this town, because they said they were going to put her picture up on the missing persons website. If you're in an area with nothing but ski resorts around and you find a woman that was found on a ski slope in ski like a uniform, a ski jacket and stuff, wouldn't you reach out to the local lodges and say, hey, has anyone been reported missing?
Or the news.
No.
Yeah.
I get the impression this sheriff retired and they just haven't found a replacement for him yet, but he's like, fuck it, I'm retired. I'll keep showing up to work, but I'm retired.
Because here in LA, on the local news, like if there's been missing people before, and they'll put a picture on the local news here in town.
Yeah.
Or at least a milk carton or something.
But I mean, like, if it's the mathematical odds that she was staying at a resort in that area are pretty fucking high.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But you're right, though. People do get excited when someone's missing, especially if you're kind of like a rich, like, high profile person, or it'd be all over the news.
Yeah. Oh, so we find out that Jake used to live in the big city and he had a ski travel business. But he came out to the lodge and loved it and stayed.
He inherited it.
Yeah.
From his in-laws.
But then he tells Lindsay, you know what though? I might have to sell it. And she's like, no. So then we have like the obligatory like Christmas market scene. They see Santa. Jake buys Lindsay a snow globe.
Also spots Abby spotted this really nice sleigh, and it was very expensive. Jake's like, yeah, that's not really on the list this year, but Santa kind of has a twinkle in his eye.
Right. So then so when she sees the snow globe, she has another memory. So her memory is like slowly coming back. And so then we're at the tree lighting ceremony because, it's a Christmas movie, so you got to have a tree lighting ceremony.
And they let Abby pull the candy cane. Not a euphemism.
Lindsay says at one point she can't sing because they're singing. Didn't Lindsay Lohan have an album at one point?
Yes.
She did, but that was a callback to earlier in the movie when she was in the car with Tad and he didn't like her singing. And so he kept changing it to Air Supply.
Yeah.
I'm all out of love.
Because he was like, you're a little pitchy.
Yeah.
So lost without you.
Because she said that, and then Jake says to her, like, who told you that?
Oh, yeah. He's getting beaten down.
And then she tells Jake, I've never met anyone like you before because if I met someone like you, I'd remember. I was like, aw.
That was a good line.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they get to the part of these type movies where she's happy to be there. So she gets up, she makes her bed, she's smiling, she's saying good morning to everyone.
She made pancakes. She's doing laundry.
Pancakes.
Somebody's playing the guitar.
It's a Sierra learning how to be a good person montage.
A gingerbread house. She learns how to make a gingerbread house.
A gingerbread house. I think we've talked about gingerbread house. That's come up before in this episode. That was the most beautiful gingerbread house I've ever seen. I could.
Well, was that a budget?
Well, and also we find out later that it's fake.
Is it?
Yeah, Jake says that later in the movie.
I wonder if there's anybody who makes a living flipping gingerbread houses. Like they buy like a really shitty gingerbread house, they really fix it up. I guess you could make some money that way.
If they ever make another Shrek movie, they need to have another gingerbread person be a realtor. Yeah.
I flipped gingerbread houses. Oh, good. Then they had a food fight, which I did not like.
That's right. You get triggered with food fights, don't you?
Well, who's reasonably doing that? Did they make her clean it up afterwards or what?
Probably.
Hey, the fun's over.
They're just creating work for her now.
That's what you're doing.
He even taught her how to flip pancakes. Mm-hmm. So then they go skiing, and she like loses control on her skis, and then he stops her and saves her, and then they fall into the snow, and then they almost kiss, but they don't.
Very Hallmark.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just realized right now there was one very Hallmarky thing they did not do, is they didn't throw snowballs at each other.
No, they didn't. Because Lindsay Lohan was probably like, you are not throwing snowballs at me.
No, because it's not funny when someone gets smacked in the eye.
I'm sure Lindsay Lohan is like, I am the star. You will not throw snowballs at me. I will not have that.
Fight is okay. I don't know. She behaved herself.
So then like now she's very popular in the lodge, and like the couple who was there when she was saved, they're leaving and they're like, bye, Sarah. And then she walks into a room and the grandma's is looking through an album and crying.
And she says, what the fuck is your problem? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm nice now. How can I help you?
Because she's nice now.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. She gets it together. She holds it in.
So then she's
looking at a book that she knows is going to make her sad.
Yeah.
And look at the sad book.
Yes.
Looking at all these pictures and stuff.
And it's all the memories of the lodge back when the lodge was like popular and
who cared?
You know, they had guests.
Instead of today, now it looks like The Shining.
So she leaves. So then they're talking, and then Lindsay's like, well, can I look at the album? And she's like, sure, just put it away when you're done. And so grandma leaves, and Lindsay looks through the album a bit, and then she goes to put it away. I thought she was going to get in trouble here, because she goes to put it away, and she opens up a drawer and finds the doll. And Jake walks in and sees her looking at the doll. And I thought, uh-oh, she's going to get in trouble for snooping, even though she wasn't snooping. But she didn't get in trouble. He was just like, yeah, that belongs to my dead wife. And I just can't bring myself to put it on the tree.
Yeah. That was actually a really nice scene. And I think it's one of the reasons why I largely like this movie is because they let the character's depth actually show up on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was okay.
Oh, so then they go to a toy drive. Mm-hmm. and he teaches her how to gift wrap, which I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to take his tips and try that myself in real life.
Oh, it's true.
Because
I can gift wrap like a mother. I know how to gift wrap, man.
now did he give good directions then?
I say so.
I think so, yeah.
Because what was it? You use as little paper as possible, and you only want to have 3 places where you take.
Yeah, basically, if you use like not as little as possible, as much as the least amount that you need for the package that you're wrapping. So, you know,
Right.
if you know how you kind of overlap the paper at one point, you don't want to have it overlap by like a whole side of the box length. You want like maybe a third.
But then how do you figure out? Because my problem is I kind of try to measure it out, but then when I cut it, it's either too short or there's too much.
Oh, I always when I'm putting the item on the paper for the left and right sides, which would be like the bottom and the top, I always put the box or whatever it is upright first, down on the paper, and line it up with the edge, and then move it to just a little under halfway, so that I always have like just a little bit more than half the paper when it's folded up.
Oh, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, I measured out like with the box. Yeah, you kind of like move the box around, make sure you have enough space there.
I'm gonna try that.
When are we getting our gift, Les?
Well,
Can't wait to see how it's wrapped.
I know, right?
Start wrapping that gift.
Oh, who was Louise?
Oh, she was a woman.
She was just some woman in town. They never explained who she was to the town, I don't think.
She seemed to have hots for Jake. I think Jake could spend some time with Louise if he maybe he has. But yeah, no, she was kind of in the Christmas market, and she spoke very highly of Jake. She doesn't know how they would survive without him and all the work he does.
Right, and then she was the one that she was like, you know, I wish that we could show Jake how much he means to us because he's helped all of us. Like, we really like him.
Oh, there are things she could do.
Right. So then Jake and Sarah find themselves under the mistletoe. And they almost kiss. But then Sarah says, wait, I have an idea. We could have a fundraiser, Jake, and you can make all of the money that you need to keep the lodge open. And what we can do is because she thought about the book, she goes, we can actually go through and find past guests who have had a great time here. And then Jake is like, no, I don't want donations.
To be fair, Jake self-cock-blocked the kiss. Because Jake started realizing, like, what if you're with someone?
Not his problem.
Right. And that's not her fault either. She doesn't remember. Yeah. So I think it's all fair game.
But I also think that's gentlemanly of him to be like, hey, we should probably like wait on trying to fall for each other here when I don't know, you don't know what your life is, much less me.
Boy, I guess so. Yeah, where are the ethics there? I didn't even consider this. I hope I'm not in this. Well, I don't know.
Well,
I've been in worse situations. What are the ethics there?
Well,
because he's taking advantage of a woman who's under duress.
But she's not under duress because even though she didn't have a memory, she wasn't. How do I She wasn't.
She seems conscious. She's conscious.
She seemed. She had good decision making skills.
Yeah. I think it would have been okay for them to kiss. She
was just as into him as he was to her.
Right.
So it wasn't like he was coercing her into anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was doing anything wrong. I think we're just kind of wondering, well, given that he wasn't doing anything wrong, what's how big is the moral dilemma?
Right.
Right. We're kind of Monday morning quarterbacking this the ethics of this kiss. I think he could do it and he'd be okay.
Oh, so then Jake goes into this monologue about how he's tired of the lodge and he's tired of struggling, and then he's mean to Sarah.
Yeah. You know what he says?
Because he was like, well, what do you know?
Yeah, what do you know about
remember.
memories? You don't remember your damn name.
And I was like, you're a dick. That was mean.
Well, that's
that
the
was
meanest.
uncalled for.
That's the meanest thing he said. It's not that bad.
But she wasn't even being a bitch when he said it.
No. But of course,
Right.
he's just saying, hey, look, I don't know what to do in this situation. It's not like there's relationship advice as to how to deal with a person who has amnesia and is kind of into you and you're into them, but who knows what's going on in their real life.
You can watch Overboard. We just mentioned that. Or all the soap operas that Les watches.
Right. Because there's always amnesia on a soap
But I don't
opera.
think that would give you good advice as to how to act morally in a situation. Or
Well, a lot of
ethically.
times in soap operas, the person has amnesia and then they get their memory back, but now they're in love with two people.
Yeah.
Oh.
The one
see,
before the accident and the current one, and they have to
Yeah, well.
decide.
You know, I hear all this and I think this is not my problem. I don't have to worry about this.
On soaps, they
Thank
call
God.
it a love triangle.
Well, you can have a love triangle without amnesia.
Yeah.
True. Well, but this is like a different love. But this is like in soap
This is a
operas,
lot.
it's a different kind of love triangle because it's a love triangle where there's no villain. Like everybody, like there's no bad person.
Right. Well,
Oh,
in this
level
one,
to
Tad
level.
is played a little bit to be the villain.
Right. But I mean, but yeah, that's true. But then, or how do I put it? It's everybody involved. Like the heroine is actually kind of innocent because she didn't remember anyway. So it's not like she was like a slut or anything. She just didn't remember.
Well, I wouldn't slut shame anybody.
Well, no, I wouldn't either.
No, neither
Because,
would
you know, she's.
Exactly.
You do you.
God bless. Anyway, yeah, a lot of ethics. See, when we throw ethics into it, it gets so complicated.
Right. The
Well, we're getting
ethical
we're-
Netflix movie.
Yeah, we're reaching the scene where I started to get emotional.
What was this?
Well, let's see. See if we're there yet. Yeah, Mom talks to Jake, and he doesn't know. He's, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. She says it's okay. He says, no, it's not. I don't know what I'm doing. But then he tells the mom it's time to. Okay, it's time to leave. Oh, he's going to leave. But then he what? I just says I got emotion here. I don't know what I
So
wrote.
this is the moment where they have
What
this
about
heart
the
to
dog?
heart, and the grandma tells him, you know, it's okay to let go. Basically saying like, look, I know
That's
you
it.
love my daughter and you want to honor her memory, but like it's time for you to move on, dude. Like it's time to let her go, and it's time for you to be happy for yourself.
Right.
But then the doll was involved also.
Well, that's
So I
because
think
then
that's
the
what
very
really
next
got me.
scene is Sarah, because she feels so weird about her last interaction with Jake. She tells Alejandra and Abby that she's going to leave, and they're getting really sad that she's leaving. Then Jake brings out the angel and says that he didn't want to do it without you, meaning Sarah.
Yeah, that's the part that I think it's got me.
Ah,
Was that the part that got you guys as
Yeah.
well?
it didn't get me.
Yeah. No.
That got
But
me,
I liked
and the scene where he is pouring his heart out to Sarah, telling her why that angel is so important and why it was hidden away and why he can't bring himself to bring it out.
But I like the scene though. Oh, and then he agrees to have a party. So then there's a handing out flyers montage. And then
Yeah.
we see
She's
Ralph.
domesticated.
We see Ralph and Tad, and they're eating beans.
I wanted to see at this point I wrote where is Tad and Ralph is?
Yeah.
I wrote George for some reason. Yeah, I would say where are they? And then they show up.
Eating beans.
And it was the best beans he ever had.
That's canned beans, is how it was worded.
Best
Because
canned beans he ever had.
Tad was British, and British people know about beans because they eat beans all the fucking time. Oh my god! It's like in the UK they eat beans in the morning for breakfast. You have beans on toast.
Good fiber.
I do not have beans on toast because I don't like beans on toast, and they look at me like I'm crazy, which I am crazy, but they're like, what, you don't like beans on toast? I'm like, no. So, and the beans were spicy. Tad's beans were spicy because he had to stick snow in his mouth.
Yeah. It's an okay gag.
But then Mr. Belmont comes home. Jack Wagner comes home, Frisco. And he's worried because because Sierra has not been answering her phone. And so he goes into her room with her assistant, and he's like, how could you not miss her? She hasn't been here. Her luggage is still here. She never leaves without her luggage. But then the assistant is like, no, but she left this note saying that, so I just thought she went away. Because, she's an adult at this point, so she could go away.
True.
But then we cut to the sheriff finding an abandoned truck. Oh, because Mr. Belmont's like, I need to find my daughter. And then we cut to the sheriff finding an abandoned truck with a note.
And he's laughing.
Which is Ralph's truck.
Because I guess Ralph has a reputation.
Yeah, basically, I forget exactly how they worded it, but basically they say that Ralph's been squatting on public land, and he's been warned about it before.
Yeah.
Can't be squatting on public land. But where does Ralph live? I want to know more about Ralph.
Because it is funny, because they're like, oh, it's Ralph. And they roll their eyes and start laughing.
Silly Ralph. People are stranded in the bitter cold of the mountain.
Oh, so then it's the night of the party, and Sarah's looking for something to wear, and the grandmother bought her an outfit. She's like,
how'd she get her sizes? She must have done.
Perfect.
She did what I did. Then she went snooping around for sizes.
But she probably did it when Sarah was out of the hotel.
Yes.
Well, listen, you never know when someone's going to come walking in.
Oh, and then your friend got arrested, Ralph.
Well, I wouldn't say he's my friend.
Jake's friend. Or Tad's friend.
Yeah, Tad's friend got arrested. And Tad's very, upset about it.
Yeah, he loves Ralph.
Yeah.
He likes him.
So then Tad runs into Mr. Belmont, and they're like, oh my God, well, where's Sierra? And then the sheriff is like, oh, I know where she is. And then he lets Ralph go.
I think Ralph and Tad would be a really good couple. They complement each other. Ralph's got kind of this gruff element, and I don't know. It just kind of works for me.
It's an opposites attract kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess so. They're my favorite couple of the year.
So then we cut back to the house. Sarah comes walking down the stairs in a fabulous dress. Grandma did good. Everything fit, and because Grandma got her some shoes too.
Grandmothers know.
Yeah.
If they still have it together, they know.
And then she walks downstairs, and Jake is gawking, and the grandmother tells the kid, "Come help me make appetizers." And she's like, "But," and she's like, "No, come help me!" Gets her out of the room.
Jake has to sit down. He's kind of embarrassed. He got to sit down in a wooden chair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I don't mean to be crude. I don't mean doing blue humor here. I'm just saying he's got it. He's a little embarrassed in front of the family. He's got to sit down in a chair.
Are you saying that Jake has a Yule log?
Yeah.
For the fire crotch?
He's got a Yule log.
Yule log for the fire crotch.
Well, thank God you said that.
I don't know if me saying it makes it any less offensive, and I apologize to everyone.
No. What I was saying, it needed a rescue at the end there, and you did it. You threw in the lifesaver.
You're welcome.
So I don't know where I was going. Oh, I had all set up. So.
So then when Jake's Yule log gets a little extinguished, he then says he asks Sarah to dance.
Keeps going.
He asks Sarah to dance, and then they start dancing, and they almost kiss. And at this point, he's thinking no one's going to show up. And then Everybody like the entire town like shows up.
They
Like,
were-
the bus pulled up.
They were
But they don't have coats. One guy's wearing shorts.
They were all dressed for a different Christmas party. Like some people were in ugly sweaters, some people were in like holiday pajamas, other people were in formal wear. It was like they all heard there was a Christmas party, but no one bothered to tell them that, oh, the dress code is.
Right, exactly.
A problem with the extra. Whoever casted the extras, there was a there was a big
So,
problem
Kurt,
here.
So Kurt, like you've done extra work. So do you think this was a case of the extras had to bring their own clothes? Because you have to do that sometimes, right?
Almost all the time. Well, if something is temporary, we almost always have to do that, or they might provide you with something.
So they're probably like, bring your best Christmas.
But why the guy wearing shorts? That's weird.
It was, there all there needed to be was a simple line of dialogue that said, we've done so many different fun Christmas celebrations over the years, and this year we want you to come and whichever one was your favorite.
Right. But I got to tell you, this actually turned out to be a good party. I would have gone to this party. It was fun.
Well, yeah, because people are all giving out cash left and right.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get to that yet. My skip.
Yeah, well, no, we're there now
next.
because basically, it's he starts to give a speech, and he's like he feels awkward about having to ask for money, but before he can ask, this one couple walks up and goes, "Hey, you taught my son how to ski, and we never paid you for it. So here you go." And then this other couple, and then they're like, "Oh, and he's a little kid when this happened, and he's now a member of the ski patrol, and he was afraid to ski, but you helped him." And
we wanted them to be a doctor. He's part of the ski patrol. Damn you!
Then they give him a check, and then this other couple is like, "Yeah, when we first got married, we couldn't afford a honeymoon, and you let us stay here, and you gave us like the best honeymoon ever." And then they gave him a check.
No, this is interesting too, because there's like younger people who say they don't know what a check is. Like, what's a check? What's a check? These people had checkbooks left and right.
Yeah, everybody at the party gave him a check.
Take that, Gen, whatever is the newest people, Gen Z.
Yeah.
And then
they're the kids.
Gen Z, yes. And then the head of the town council is like, and we're gonna apply to get this made a national monument.
I think it was a historical designation, not a national monument. I don't think the rest of the country cares about this lodge.
Oh, a landmark.
Yeah.
A landmark.
Should we go to Mount Rushmore this year, or that Airbnb, or that inn?
Right.
That inn where the entirety of the town cockblocks you when you're about to kiss someone.
Well, Lindsay Lohan is a national treasure.
Should we go to Yosemite State Park or the Airbnb that was just announced to be a national?
Well, I hear that that Airbnb, you can have a horrific skiing accident and be back on your feet the next day.
Right.
It's like a miracle place.
So then everyone is like, "Oh, Sarah, you're so cool," because he thanks Sarah. And right when Sarah is about to like get up and, bask in her glory, Tad and Beauregard show up.
Ooh.
And he's like, "Sierra?" And then they're like, "Oh, wait, that's your name?" And so, but she still doesn't remember Tad though in the beginning. And then she remembers her name, but she still doesn't remember Tad. And then she still remembers Jake, of course. And then Tad's like, "Well, we're engaged," and Jake looks disappointed. But then he gives her the ring, and even though she doesn't remember him, she's like, "The ring's too big," again, like before. And then she remembers everything. And so then they're all like, "Well, thank you for saving Sarah. We got to go now." And she's still actually a little confused.
Well, I did like this. Like, she was very invested in this party happening, and they show up at the party, and I realized, like, she's reunited with her father and her fiance, and she should probably be wanting to like go back to her quote unquote regular life. But she was also having a great time at that party, and she's just like, okay, see ya.
Right.
Going with them now.
And then
I have to go home.
And the little Abby's like, don't go. And she's like, I'm sorry, I have to go. You know, this is my family.
Yeah. And again, you don't have to. You could have stayed for the party.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
What's the rush?
we have a little memory montage, like she's remembering everything. Then the next day, she wakes up and, you know, she's back in her rich lifestyle, and she wakes up and like her personal assistant walks in and her glam team, and they're like, oh my God. And they're horrified because she made her bed when she woke up.
Yeah.
And they're like, my God, what is wrong with you? Are you okay? Then they really freaking out because then she's flipping pancakes in the kitchen. And they're like, what has happened to you? And so then she's doing an interview.
Then it's Christmas. Oh no, then it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
And the grandmother got a book, and the little girl, I think she got some boots.
Yeah. She was very excited about it.
And the grandmother says, people were very generous last night. Probably could have taken all that money and gave me something else besides a damn book.
Right.
Get me a necklace.
So you think
nice.
that what Grandma saying that was passive aggressive?
Yeah.
Thanking you for the book was really
book?
amazing. Like, dude, people just handed you these huge checks last night, dick.
You got me a $12 book.
And then Sarah was in the interview, right? Because I just have on my notes.
Yeah, so like it's Christmas morning, and Jake, Abby, and Alejandra, they open their gifts, and then Abby turns on the TV, and it's Sarah's press conference now that they found her. So again, like they're having a press conference because she's somebody of at least a little bit of note that people would have recognized as being, oh, isn't that hotel heiress? Why is she at this lodge?
And so the little girl tells Jake, look, you need to go and tell her that you love her. And so she's like, you need to get your ass over there. So he goes, and they were going to get on the snowmobile, but the snowmobile didn't work. But then they find a brand new sleigh, the sleigh that they looked at earlier in the movie, and it was up and ready to go.
How'd it get there?
So they head over there.
With Balthazar leading the sleigh.
Right.
They've got a horse.
And then, Sierra's talking to her dad, and her dad's like, I'm proud of you. And she's like, I don't want some bullshit job. I want to I want to make my own mark, and I want to be an independent woman. And then we cut back to the lodge, and the lodge is all of a sudden getting all of these phone calls because of the interview.
Yeah, in the press conference, Sierra made a point of mentioning the lodge and saying it's a great place to stay.
And so, like, the phone starts ringing, like, off the hook, and he calls, and the grandma's like, oh my gosh, we're totally sold out.
She's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Somebody calls and says, is there a room available? And she's like, oh, hello? Is there a room available? Like, she's got to keep it together a little bit.
Yeah.
So then, Sarah, so this is the part where I felt vindicated. Because then Sierra breaks up with Tad and is like, I'm not in love with you, breaks up with him. And then she walks away, and he's upset for a split second. But then her personal assistant, who is a man, walks up, and Tad is like, so what are you doing for New Year's Eve? And raises his eyebrow, and I was like, I knew it. I knew it.
I see this more as sexual fluidity, which seems to exist more and more.
So this is my problem with this, is that I have no problem with the character of Tad either being sexually fluid or realizing that he's gay, whatever it is. I wouldn't have had a problem with that if they had made it a bit more of a plot point as opposed to kind of a joke. They are doing it for comedy's sake, not for character development's sake. And if he's going to be somebody sexually fluid or gay, then we need to get him together with Ralph because they've established that relationship already.
Right, like Ralph came back. I would have loved if Ralph came back and at the end he gives Ralph like a makeover or something.
Yeah. Because it was almost like, oh, he's gay. Isn't that funny? Versus like, oh, he's gay and he's going to end up with this other character. That's why I have a problem with it. It's being played for the joke of, isn't it funny that he's gay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. But yeah, and like I didn't even think of the whole Ralph Tad thing until discussing it on this podcast.
Yeah, they could have easily found a way to have Ralph end up at that hotel. Maybe because he saved Tad, he was given a free night stay at the Belmont, and he's there, and they've like given him a makeover.
Right, and he's cleaned up. Yeah. And he's like the
that would have been
guy.
good.
Yeah,
because he wasn't. Because Ralph, even though he was grizzled, he was not bad looking.
No.
So yeah, I would have liked that. And like there's like a cleaned up Ralph shows up, and Tad's like, oh, hey.
He's in movies. If you're in movies, TV these days, you got to be somewhat attractive. We're past the days of Barty Feldman and Ernest Borgnine.
But I do love but at the same time, I do love the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Netflix going, we're going to go one step further. Oh, yeah, you're going to have a gay character. Well, we're going to have a bi character. So I did kind of, I see what you're saying, Jason.
Then have a simple line of dialogue early. It could be like a really dropped, like nothing piece of dialogue, just casually mentioning that he's bisexual early in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Or actually, if we would have had this scene, and if it would have been like a cleaned up Ralph that shows up, and they could have like had the exact same lines. Hey, so what are your plans for New Year's Eve?
Yeah. Like maybe he's figuring it out in the moment. Or if he's like, it could have been a thing of like when he was posting to social media earlier in the movie, when he was like trying to take their relationship and make it official online, you could say like, oh, I haven't dated a girl in 2 years. Like it could be as simple as that to hint that like he's dated other than girls.
Right. Oh, because then the next scene, so they had this limo that they actually used, or like this van, like a Sprinter van that they actually use at the beginning of the movie. And so Jake gets there and he goes up to the Sprinter van and the windows are tinted and he's like, I love you, don't go, da 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 da. And then the windows come down and it's Tad, and Tad's like, oh, I already have plans with someone. Happy Christmas. And then the assistant pops his head out and says, yeah, we have plans.
I thought it was going to be the dad. I thought Jack Wagner was actually in there. Or should I say Jack Wagner?
Jack Wagner. And so then he finds Sierra and I love you, da 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 da, we're in love, the end.
Well, the last two lines of dialogue were actually very good, because Jake says, "What a Christmas, guys," and Sierra says, "Yeah, it's one I'll never forget." I thought that was a good last line of dialogue.
Yeah, but also at the end of the movie, Jack Wagner walked out with a little girl. They entered together. Was he kidnapping?
It's his granddaughter now.
But they just met.
But it's his granddaughter. But it's obvious it's his granddaughter now.
Maybe he's trying to make a move on Alejandra.
Wow. Actually, because he and Alejandra were around the same age.
Yeah.
They were age appropriate.
Who cares?
Age appropriate.
And then did you?
I was gonna say I like how they kept showing that swimming pool. There was this really cool swimming pool, and how can I explain it? It was like way up in the we had like
Even though it was like in the middle of
building.
winter in this resort, because it's a very, very decadent resort, it had a glass swimming pool that you could, it was like on a walkway. So you could, walk from either building to it in the middle, and it overlooked the city. So these people are like in bathing suits overlooking a city that's everyone's, bundled up.
Right. And then did you guys watch the closing credits where they showed like the outtakes?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I know, it actually looked fun. It looked like they were having, that made me like the movie even more, because I was like, oh wow, they had a good time filming this movie.
Yeah, man.
And
Okay.
I guess they were doing that too, to kind of go, see, Lindsay is fun to work with.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her I can't remember when I'd seen her last in anything.
No, I think this is her comeback movie. I think it is.
I think she had done one other before this to sort of test the waters, if she could kind of, like not be a mess on set. And she passed that test. So they're like, okay, we're going to actually invest in this one, and we're going to have a decent script, and we're going to promote it.
And as a comeback, she's very smart for doing a movie like this.
For
Because
sure.
it's a movie for the family. And it shows that she's family friendly. She's matured. She was funny in this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Lindsay's always been charming. She's always been a great actress. So it's nice to see her, like, just doing good work again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she hadn't been anything in a while. I'm looking at her Wikipedia page here. I don't see another Hallmark movie or something. It says between 2016 and 2018, she opened 3 beach clubs in Greece.
Yeah,
were
because it was the reality show.
Yeah, it was the MTV reality television series Lindsay Lohan's Beach Club in 2019.
I watched it.
Maybe I'm just thinking of the fact that they announced this movie a long time ago. So it's possible they announced this one, then announced the others after that.
She's got another one called Irish Wish that's going to come out next year.
Yeah.
But no, this is definitely a good move for her.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, because this movie could have gone out. It could have, because it didn't suck. It could have sucked.
Yeah. I would
it wasn't
definitely
bad.
recommend it for people. If you like the Hallmark style movies, but you're like, okay, the edges don't need to be sanded off that much, then watch this.
Right. But I am excited. I'm actually excited about the Hallmark movies this year, because I didn't know if I sent you guys like the list. Mm-hmm. There was like a list of like the top ones, and they actually all sounded pretty good.
Oh, the thing you sent us the other day, those are movies that have all come out in previous years, Les, and we've watched like half of them.
Or those are like or what was it that was like the top 10 or something?
The
then,
top
right?
of all time or something, yeah.
Well, I definitely want to watch the Kathy Najimy one.
Okay. Let's do
So
it.
that's new and that's good. And I'm sure that that's Hallmark's response to the Fran Drescher movie last year, which I loved. Yeah.
Kathy Najimy. I always thought her name was Najimy. I was mispronouncing it.
It's Najimy.
Kathy Najimy from
Najimy?
Hocus Pocus 2.
And
She had a
Veronica's
small
Closet.
part. Well, she was in The Fisher King, which I love.
I've never seen that
I
movie.
love that movie. She's got like a small role in it, but that's a great movie.
Well, Sister Act 3, I guess they're working on that.
Yep.
And
I think they are.
yeah,
I like Whoopi.
I still think, Black China needs to be in a Christmas movie.
Let's work.
Has she been in any movies?
Has she? That's a good
I don't
question.
think so. That could be the news. Oh, we're following it up with more Black China. Let me take a look.
Wait,
China.
let me know when you're ready with any sort of story of her ever doing movies.
I'm looking her up. Black China.
Okay, 'cause I'm looking too.
I don't think so. Well, filmography. No, I don't think these are movies.
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
Black China Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Has Black
Black
China been in any movies?
No.
Yes.
Black China's not.
Yes, she has. Yes, she
Not
has.
according to
There's a
music
movie called
videos.
Percentage in 2014. It's called Percentage.
Find
And
that. Oh,
Yeah,
no, I
and
don't
it's-
see it.
yeah, I'm looking at it right here. It came out in 2014. And the movie's about two hustlers from New York City relocate to Miami. After a duel goes wrong, they set up a credit card fraud operation and draw the attention of police and the city's top criminals looking for a percentage of the take. And it's starring Ving Rhames, Omar Gooding, Macy Gray, Cameron, George Katz, and Black China. I think she had a small part in it, though.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I see it too. Yeah, percentage. Yeah. All right, that's her movie.
All right.
Yeah.
She's also in. Oh wait, there's a movie called Secret Society 2: Never Enough. So apparently she was in that. She played Vicky. All right. Well, she was in a couple movies.
Oh, and then she's also in this movie called DGK Parental Advisory.
That's a video. I think that's a song.
So follow the DJK team and a group of young skaters as they make their way through one of the most dirty ghetto days imaginable, filled with twists and turns, celebrity cameos, and amazing skateboarding.
Yeah, I don't think she does much in that.
Yeah, I don't.
So yeah, this is Lil Wayne, Black China.
Percentage looks like a real movie.
Yeah.
Looks like she has a little role in that.
I'm surprised she doesn't do more.
Oh, I'm surprised I don't do more.
True. Well, 2023 is going to be a working year. We're going to book
good.
a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Les, where
Yes.
can people find you?
They can find me on my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Kirkendall, and Kirkendall is spelled Kurkendaal. And you know what? I had this other Facebook page that I let go dormant, but I'm going to pick it up again and put all of my performance information on this Facebook page called Kirkendall Barrett Presentations. Jason.
Please rate and review us on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on. Give us 5 stars or whatever the highest rating is there so more people can find the show. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. And I'm working on getting a Mastodon together, but I don't know if I can figure that out. Kurt.
You were going to get what together?
A Mastodon.
Oh, what's that?
It's like the social media platform a lot of people are leaving Twitter to go join.
Oh,
I hear it's very confusing.
It's very confusing.
Mastodon.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on kurtfitzpatrick.com. That's Kurt, just like Kurt Russell. And just like Lindsay Lohan, I've got my own comeback happening. I'm going to be doing my show, my one-man show, The Jester of All Maladies at the Rogue Festival in Fresno, California in March. I'm going to be returning to the movie podcast. We're going to do another Oscar podcast and that other movie podcast I do. I'm really great at promoting their podcast. But
the Shelf Shedding movie show?
What's that?
The Shelf Shedding movie
Shelf
show?
Shedding. I'm going to do that. We're going to do another Oscar one. And then there's another one I'm doing. But yeah, I'll give them more details. And I'm going to be doing more murder mystery shows throughout New Jersey. So I got lots of stuff going on.
Oh, and sorry, go ahead, Les.
I was just going to say, I forgot, because the past few episodes, I was not allowed to say anything, and now I am allowed to say something. So I'm actually going to be, my show, The Real Black Swan, Confessions of America's First Black Drag Queen, is going to be at the Orlando Fringe Mini Winter Festival, January 12th through the 15th, and you can go to orlandofringe.com to find out more about that.
Awesome. And you can find all of us on Instagram and Facebook at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast.
Wow. I am glad that, we can branch out a little bit this year. And, because it seems like all of the outlets are having good Christmas movies. But right now, I'm starving, so I need to go. So I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.